Alright, all. I'm back finally with my promised carburetor assembly video. I've got my stuff laid out here. This is going to be for demonstrational purposes only, because this is just, I've got me a Zama carburetor I pulled off of a home light trimmer years ago, and it had all the guts and stuff in it, so this is going to be a good test subject today. And it's summertime, it's hot, so I'm going to try to get this thing done. Alright, so first of all, you want to make sure these things are good and clean when you take them apart to rebuild them. Take your scraper. You want to get all of the gunk and stuff off of the mating surfaces all the way around. And this one's not perfectly clean, obviously. This is a guinea pig today. And if they're real bad, I like to soak these. Get you a cut off water bottle or a container or something, and completely submerge this in carb cleaner and let it sit for a while. And then if it ain't that bad, you can just, kind of spray it out. And then if you have access, get you an air compressor and get you a nozzle and blow it out. That'll dry it out, and then as a bonus, it'll usually get whatever you may possibly have missed. So these 2-cycle carburetors are pretty much all the same. You've just got different manufacturers. This is a Zama. Walbro is probably the most common on your 2-stroke equipment. Tillotson is a really good carburetor that used to come on some of your older equipment, your professional grade equipment. They were awesome carburetors. And then, of course, nowadays you've got these cheap generic knockoff carburetors that you can buy that replaces these OEM carburetors, but they're just a clone. But they pretty much all work the same. They're just made a little different for different applications. You will have different chokes, throttle butterflies, your ports will be in different positions. It's just whatever the application for the equipment is. So your little kits, here's a carb kit. This is not for this carburetor. This is a walbro kit. But you'll come with multiple diaphragms. They usually only come with 1 meter in diaphragm. And then your needle and your spring, all that good jazz. New screen. Screen's essential. So, first thing you want to do is, after you're all clean, you're good, you're ready to go, is you got your parts laid out, ready to go, where you can get to them. So, on this side, there's a screen right here. And take you a pick or something, and you can flick that thing out. You want to do that before you clean it, obviously. Putting it back in, find you a tool that is the same size or just a hair smaller, and you can take the new screen and you can literally just kind of seat it back in there. Once you do that, you can take your pump diaphragm, and this goes on the bottom. This goes first on these. And then, of course, in your kit, you're going to, like I said, you'll have multiple ones of these 9 times out of 10. So match them up. You always want to keep all your old parts when you take these apart. You keep what you took off, and then when you get your kit, you match up. That's the easiest way. It's the fastest way. You don't have to. If you forget and throw it away, just, use your brain. Just match everything up. You want your screw holes to line up. You want your little studs to line up, and you want your little flaps over top each hole that it needs to be, and your screen down there needs to be exposed. Alright, so that goes first. Then you take your gasket, match it up, everything lines up, looks good. Alright, then on your newer carburetors, or, well, really weed trimmers, I have not seen a single weed eater that has not had a primer bulb. Personally, I hate these stupid things. All they're good for is rotting off, and they're really useless. They don't do what they say they're supposed to do. The whole purpose of this is to make the machine start faster. Personally, that's a load of bull crap. If this carburetor is in good working condition, it's adjusted right, and the machine's running properly, it's not going to take you 15 pulls to get it started. I've got a lot of older equipment that don't have primer bulbs, and they start just as fast as my newer equipment that has primer bulbs. To me, this is a money gimmick. That's all it is. That's stupid. But anyway, you'll have this adapter on top that works with that primer bulb. So this goes on top instead of just a traditional cap. So now your throttle butterfly here is going to get in the way as you put this on, because that screw, that's your idle adjustment, because that butterfly rests on this screw. So what you need to do is, I like to position mine where I can take my finger and work that butterfly and hold it just so slightly out of my way. That way I can get in here and I can get this piece on and get it lined up, and that works pretty good. You might have to fiddle with it, and there she goes. She's on. Then you can release your butterfly and you're good, but just make sure you keep it in contact until you're done. So now they make a couple different sizes in these primer bulbs. They got small ones, they've got bigger ones. A lot of your Husqvarna owned equipment has the they've got like a one-piece plastic, and they got a snap-in grommet. So when you find the right size, get it in there and you will twist, and it should fit. It should fit good. If you're having to squeeze this thing over there, or if it just ain't going over, you've got the wrong size. Now this fits in there perfect. So it sits in, it should fit flush around the rim, and then you're good. Then you take your cap and you put on, and I've got this one backwards. Alright, so my bolt holes are lined up. This is where you take your bigger screws, snug them down. Don't go crazy with these things. They need to be tight. They need to be snug. They do not need to be cranked tight. These carburetors, they're not made out of real thick stuff, and you can make a bad day for yourself if you ain't careful. So like right here, you're just there, snug. Don't go crazy. All right, so that completes that side of the carb. Flip her over, and this is going to be your metering side. So what you want to do is take your needle valve, or your needle and seat, whatever you call it, drop it into the hole where it goes, right there. Then you're going to want to take this spring, little bitty guy right there, and you can take your little lever here, and there's a little rod that goes through the lever, and it just sits in there and it will slide either direction, so you got to be careful. That can be a trick sometimes. So what you want to do is go ahead and put that spring in its little slot position down there. And this screw, you can loosen it a little bit. I don't like to take them all the way out because it just makes it harder on you. And this little arm has got a little dimple in it. I don't know if you can tell, but that spring rests on that. So you want to go ahead and get your spring hooked on that, and you can go in and hook your needle and seat, get your spring underway, and get your armature all in one little slick move. Now, sometimes it don't go that easy, I've been doing this for a long time. See right there? That's working like it should. Your needle should move, but not too much. You can adjust these. Now this one is good. They make an actual tool for this. But what you can do is you want to take something that's perfectly level, perfectly flat. Like I said, they actually make a gauge for this. But you want to take something, and with the carburetor, you take it and you can run it across, and you can adjust that lever. And because if you've got it too far open, in other words, if you push this and it pulls that needle way up, it's going to get too much fuel. You're going to flood it out. It's not going to be adjusted right. Or it worked the other way. If you've got it bent too far the other direction, the needle will just barely, if any, open up, and then you're not going to get enough fuel and it's going to starve. So there is an adjustment to these. This one's okay. Now, on this side, for your metering diaphragm, it works backwards to the fuel pump. The gasket goes first, and then your diaphragm goes on the top. So, go ahead and line them up, just like where they should go. And then these Zamas, they've got a little hook right here on the corner. That goes right there. You'll see it's got a little slot that it goes into. Hook that in, line your hose up, and you can go ahead and mount your little screws. And again, don't go crazy. You want them tight, you want them snug, but that's it. All right. And there you go. That's a two-cycle carburetor, weed eater, leaf blower, chainsaw, etc. They all work the same way. Now, this one's got a fixed high jet, and your low jet is adjustable. Now, with these, typically, as long as nobody's messed with it, if you're taking this off a machine and it just stopped running for no odd reason, don't mess with the adjusting screws. Leave them where they're at, because 9 times out of 10, when you rebuild the carburetor, it's going to be on the money or it's going to be very close. So leave the adjustment where it's at. If you need to adjust it, which, this one's, the high's blocked off, so you ain't got to worry about that, but you may have to adjust the low speed. A good place to start on your older equipment, or as a basis of anything, some of your new stuff, like a lot of your Polands and your cheap junk, they'll usually be around two and a half turns out. And that's a good place to start. But pretty much on anything else, and especially your older equipment, about 1.5 turns on each screw is a really good place to start. That will get you very close, and that will let the machine start, get it run. And you want to adjust these things when it's warm. Just because it fires up on the second pull and it's actually, it's running pretty good, and then go ahead and do just a little bit of fine tuning and then shut it off. No, don't do that. Get it running pretty good, get it to where to idle, and let the thing warm up. When it gets to full operating temperature, then make your fine tune adjustments. Then you'll have a true adjustment for your carburetor, and it might run just a little bit wonky when it's cold, but when it warms up, which is what matters when you're using it, it's at operating temperature. That's where it's going to stay at the majority of the time the machine's running. She'll run like a dream. Guys, the biggest thing that kills these is fuel. These things, all the components consist of rubber or little plastic parts. The ethanol in the junk fuel that they sell us these days murders these things. The best thing you can do for any of your equipment, Do not let it sit with fuel in it. If you only use that thing one time a year and it's going to sit for another 2 years before you might use it again, open the gas tank, find you a good spot. If you got a drain, if you got a bucket, you got a place to take it, whatever. You can reuse it in something else. Dump it back into a container. You can reuse it in another machine. Dump that fuel out, start the thing up, and let it run until it stalls. Do not let these sit with fuel in them. That's what kills these carburetors on these little things and rots the fuel lines. Fuel is the worst enemy for these little things because the stuff they sell us is such garbage. That ethanol will absolutely eat these things. You do what you're supposed to, they do pretty good for a real long time. And of course, use the right mix you're supposed to. Use a good quality oil. Don't use junk oil. Don't use junk gas. Don't use junk oil. Not all of it's created equal. Some of it's good, some of it's not good. Figure out what you can afford and figure out what's good and figure out what works. Be good to your machine and it'll be good to you. That's all, folks.